Welcome to Module 3, Time Management for the online version of EPY 150 Strategies for Academic Success. This is one of my favorite topics. If you are like me, maybe you have some issues with time management. I know I did when I was in college. And who really has enough time, right? Do you have enough hours in the day to do everything you want? You probably don't. But the bigger question is, how are you wasting time? Okay, so what I'd like you to do is get out a piece of paper so that you can do this while you're listening to the lecture. And I'm going to ask you some questions about how you use time. So the exercise really is to, don't get too hung up on this, this is a math thing. Let's see how much time you actually have. So first question, how many hours are there in a week? You should have written down 168. Okay, so keep that at the top of the page. Now, next question is, how many hours do you sleep? If you slept five hours a night, that would be 35 hours. So take the number 35 and minus it from 168. What should you get? 133. So you'll continue to do this sort of subtraction assignment with each one of these questions. So go ahead and take that number, if it is 133 for you, and then minus how many hours you need every day for eating, including food prep, for grooming, for driving to and from work, your kids to and from school. How many hours a week are you actually in school? Now, you all are taking the online version, so maybe you need to look at how many hours a week are you spending on online classes. How many hours are you at a paid or unpaid work? So anything from a paid job to taking care of kids, put that in that same, minus that number off. Then go ahead and also minus out the number of hours that you spend studying or reading textbooks or completing homework. How many hours a week do you spend exercising? Now here's the big question. How many hours are left? This is a little experiment. Some of us, when we get to this end, we go, oh my goodness, I only have 3 hours a week left. And some of us might come up with a different thing. So really just kind of look at this very objectively and try not to get too emotionally attached to the results. Just really, how many hours do you have left in your day, in your week? So this is where I'd like to talk to you about the time monitor assignment. So you're going to notice something that I'm giving you an assignment that actually has to do with Chapter 2 on time management, but I'm not making it due until Module 4. And the reason being is that I want you to really do this, honestly. Keep track of your time for 1 full week. Time is actually your most valuable resource as a college student. Let's see how you use it. It's kind of like you're a small business person and you need to keep track of every penny that's coming into your business and going out. So consider that time is your money as a student, and how you use it will help you be more successful, and analyzing objectively how you use it will help you be more successful. So I want to make sure that even if you realize you don't have to complete this assignment right away, you really do need to get started with the time monitor assignment. So I want you to check out the description for homework 3 so that you can get started on this aspect of homework 3 today. So take time and seriously look at homework 3 and get started on it. Don't wait till the last minute, because then you won't be able to do a good job. Go ahead and make sure before the end of today that you look at homework 3. So one of my favorite ideas in the whole Master Student series is this power process idea for Chapter 2, Be Here Now. And really the concept is to be present in what you're doing. And you can be more successful and help you. This concept will help you with time management, with test taking, with concentration. And it really is the idea of being present in the moment. And it's kind of radical. You don't have a future. The only time you have to do anything is now. Now, of course, there are times where you just need to take a break and space off, so you can choose when to listen to the inner voice and when to let it go. But the big idea here is that time management and all that's related to is very much about being in the present moment. So here are some strategies for how to be in the present moment. And just take this example right now. All of you are listening to my voice. Notice any stray thoughts that you're having and just kind of bring them back to the sound of my voice and the white PowerPoint slide before you. Notice your physical sensations. This is all relevant information. Now, for some of you, this may be very difficult, so just let it go. Stop paying attention. You have the choice. You can choose for yourself when to be here and now. You can choose when to be present or not. So here's another great article in the textbook on pages 89 to 93, 25 ways to get the most out of now. Notice this is a way to help you be more in the present moment as you're studying. Try out some of these ideas. You don't have to believe them, just try them out. Also, you might want to discuss the ideas that you like in your discussion post, which is due with this module this week. I'd like to talk to you about the concept of motivation. And it's not really discussed that much in Chapter 2 of Becoming a Master Student, but I want you to consider these images before you, and I'm really curious to know what motivates you. Are you motivated by your dreams or reaching for your goals? Are you motivated by earning more money? Are you only motivated if someone lights a firecracker under your tuchus? This is an important piece of information. You're all different, and different things motivate you. So be honest with yourself. What is it that gets you going? This next slide is all about ways to talk about motivation. So you'll notice there's a chart here, and I'm differentiating between positive and negative motivation and internal and external motivation. Positive motivation is that you move towards something so that you can get it, whereas negative motivation is you move away from something to avoid it. Internal motivation is the idea that there's source of motivation is within you, whereas external motivation means the source of motivation is outside of you, another person or some other thing outside of you. So the example here is that a positive internal source of motivation is when you feel good about doing something, like I write poetry because I like writing poetry. It makes me feel good. A positive external example is something like I want to get good grades, so I'm doing my homework. I like that feeling of getting an A. Negative internal motivation is, you know what, I'm going to do my math homework because I want to avoid that little voice in my head which says you'll never be good enough. And you do something good to avoid the internal negative. Negative external is something that you do something good in order to avoid punishment. Like some of you are getting work done to maintain your grades so you can avoid losing financial aid. Notice that all of these sources of motivation are actually ways that motivate you to do something for the good. They're not actually punishments. So this chapter is really also about procrastination. Why do we do it? You'll see in the next slide, I'm going to talk to you about this educational psychologist Bruce Tuckman and his theory on why we procrastinate. What is procrastination? Well, Linda Sapadin says there are 5 styles of procrastination. And the hint is you can read about it on page 86. The book also suggests ways that we could stop procrastinating. The 7-day plan, which I'll talk about again a little bit more later, it's on page 87. But the big idea is, what if we actually tried some of the ideas and they worked for us? Wouldn't that be cool? So Bruce Tuckman is an educational psychologist from Ohio State University who studies college procrastination. Isn't that fascinating? And his theory is that people say all sorts of reasons why they procrastinate. I don't want to do it. I don't have time. I have to go to work. I'm lazy. But these are actually just excuses, and that underneath it, if there's something we're not doing, there's probably a bigger reason. And he says the first reason is fear and lack of self-confidence. So perfectionism, depression, self-judgment, rigid identity are all examples of how people procrastinate due to fear and lack of self-confidence. He also says people procrastinate because they're angry. Consider that. That makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? Whenever I get angry, I want to avoid the person. Low frustration tolerance is the third reason. People who get frustrated real easily because they're just conditioned for immediate gratification, or they're passive. So these are 3 real reasons why people procrastinate. What do you think about that? Do you think that's true? Do you think you procrastinate because of one of these 3 reasons? Just ask yourself that. So here's this 7-day anti-procrastination plan. I just love this. It's on page 87. Consider that this little mnemonic really is a way to help you remember the ideas. Doesn't mean you have to take 7 days to do it. But consider one of these things you might want to try. Could you make something meaningful? Could you take it apart or write it down? Maybe that would actually help you. If procrastination is an issue for you, try one of these ideas. It really might work for you. And that is the big overarching idea of this whole class. You just have to try some things out. You don't have to be heavy-handed about it. Just try some new things. Okay, I love this quote. It's Will Rogers. Even if you are on the right track, you'll get run over if you just sit there. Discuss. There's some great ideas about planning that I want you to be aware of. It's kind of like the philosophy behind planning. The first one is that time management really is a paradox, which means you have to both be in the present moment and plan ahead. Because goal setting is really what's going to help you make the most out of your present moment. You have to look ahead so that you know what to do in the now. And finally, I just want to mention this article about the ABC to-do list, which is really about prioritizing your tasks for the day and making note of which ones are most important, which ones are important but not urgent, and the C tasks are things that don't require immediate attention. Next, once you've labeled those tasks, you kind of look at your time and you get the A's and B's done first, and you be aware that we have a tendency to spend our time doing easy, meaningless things. So make sure to just try this idea out. Remember, in this class, it's all about establishing new and healthy, successful habits. Planning is just another habit. You don't have to have feelings about it. Just try it out. Maybe it'll work.